All right, here we are on another episode of Salient Points. This one's number 95, the last one for the year. Actually, when you guys hear it, it'll be the new year. So happy new year. I hope everyone had a great time. We're having, we are recording in 2022. So we're talking to you from the past. And it's been a little out of control over here. So we hope this is not a lost episode. But Salient Points number 95. Salient Points number 95. I'm Carlos.
This better not be lost.
Carlos Macias, the master of what, Dalan, this week on the last day?
Man, I wasn't even thinking about it. I had COVID this week. I don't care right now. I had a whole list, and I didn't even bring it with me.
All right, Carlos, master of the I don't even care right now. I had COVID this week. I had a whole list. Macias. Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains.
All right, how about this? Now I got you, Carlos, master of can tabs. How about that?
Can tabs. All right, now let's do it, man. I'll do it. I'm hoping to be even a master of this computer, man. That
hell no, you do not deserve that title ever in your life.
No, my own personal one, not in a general sense, just my own computer. Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us, sir.
You're welcome.
The people, and we also have the king of Mid-Bay, Deo Blas. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well and COVID free, thankfully, dude.
It's been striking.
Hey, I'm COVID free now. I'm good now.
No, it's everywhere. Like you're not the only one. Like I'm scared to go out right now.
Hey, half the podcast has had COVID. All right.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't see Luis Mendez right now. We don't want to dox him or anything, but he's all right. I will say this: I can neither confirm nor deny if Lisa's alive. I can't confirm nor deny, but he's all right. He's all right. We'll see him back on the podcast.
But we can say this: he did not have COVID.
We can at least say this because only 50% of the podcast has had COVID in the past month or so. But look, this is a special episode. This is the second annual. I think it's the second one. I think we just did it last year, right? But I like it. It's the second annual Wacky Awards. This one's for 2022. We're gonna get to a couple little news stories real quick, just to tease it. But we'll tease it up a little bit. The Wacky Awards, and we got some fun ones. I try not to spoil them for myself, but I did take a quick peek at what you guys had in the rundown.
Spoilers.
And you have a couple good ones. But look, real quick in the news, just a couple quick ones here is, and this one, I didn't even write up a whole thing on the rundown, Dale. I just said, is Dale worried about HBO's The Last of Us? So Dale, tell us a little bit, a little bit. Why? What makes you so concerned?
A little bit. Only because every time someone interviews a showrunner or a writer or a director for the new Last of Us HBO TV show, people who are never involved in the making of the video games, it gets me a little worried because it seems like they don't really know what source material. They're not familiar with it, so they're not taking over any of the hardcore like kind of violent stuff, any of the survival stuff over. Is what my impression is. From a lot of their quotes, especially the ones that have been circulating around on Twitter. Yeah. And that's what gets me right now. I'm sure the acting is going to be really good, but I don't know about the writing and the whole situation going on.
And they're talking about like some of the. See, I'm trying to be on blackout, and I'm just like, I'll watch it for what it is, not try to have too high expectations. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo says out there, never be too high, never be too low. So that's what I'm trying to take this HBO The Last of Us. But you do hear weird little things, right? Like, don't play the games. Don't even worry about it.
Don't play the games.
Don't even play the
Why?
games. So.
Talking about, bro?
We'll see.
What are you talking about,
Dalan,
bro?
Are you like Dale worried about HBO's The Last of Us as well?
Hey man, I did not over expect anything from this. It was more so that I expected to do a bunch of jump scares and try to focus on whatever story that they want to pull from the games, because it's an adaptation. It really is just an adaptation. They can't have it they can't really have it be a strictly horror thing. But if they did that, that'd have been awesome. But they're not going to do that. It's HBO. Yeah. And they're let's cash in on Last of Us while it's hot.
And from what I understand, they're already talking about season 2. So like it's like as if it's renewed already, right? They're already talking about like, the season 2 is gonna dip into Last of Us Part 2.
Get through season 1. Let's get through season, because they also talked about a season 2 for Resident Evil, but look how that turned out.
Hey, Resident Evil deserves like not even the first go around. All right.
Hey, hold on. Lance Reddick went hard. All right.
Okay.
He was actually really good.
Hard out.
He was the best part of the entire show.
He doesn't half-ass stuff. stuff. So Lance Reddick, yeah, well, we'll give it to him. But yeah, so we'll see. That's in a couple weeks, man. A couple weeks, we'll start to get the first episode. Maybe we do a little spoilery type of stuff there. Maybe the return of Sainted, Dalan. A little return of Sainted to talk about that.
It never went away. You just don't.
I just said the return.
Join me.
It's been like a year, man, or however long. I enjoyed it.
It hasn't been a year, but all right.
Next thing,
it's like 7 months.
It's only 7 months. The next thing on here, Microsoft is, of course, confirming that Final Fantasy 16 and Silent Hill 2 Remake will not be coming to Xbox. And this happened in the last few days. This is actually in response to the FTC lawsuit. And this is quotes via Eurogamer. They say, quote, in addition to having outright exclusive content, Sony has also entered into arrangements with third-party publishers which require the exclusion of Xbox from the set of platforms these publishers can distribute their games on. The paperwork states, and they say thanks at Korea Xbox News, quote, some prominent examples of these agreements include Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Bloodborne, the upcoming Final Fantasy 16, and the recently announced Silent Hill 2 Remastered from Bloober Team. So this is basically like all the little saucy stuff that's come out in the last few months. They're like, okay, we got one for you too. What about this? What about these games that are exclusive on PlayStation? What do you think about that, Dale? That Microsoft's like, look at this crap, and you guys, we can't have Call of Duty exclusive.
No, they shouldn't. I love all the mudslinging going around because this is, I mean, it's fuel for the fire that Xbox kind of has some legal, like, what do you call it, pillar to stand on, fighting against this whole FTC thing. It's just weird that a lot of fanboys and fangirls or whatever, I don't know what the political term is for that, they defend either side or either camp vehemently about any of this stuff, which is not what you should be doing. It sucks that like you're excluding like these huge franchises from an entirely huge player base. So it's crazy to me that they allow that. And the way that how do you say that? I'm not a business or anything like that. I understand why people get upset that Microsoft is buying entire publishers at this point in order to stay competitive, but that's what they got to do. Like, honestly, I was looking back at my back catalog for 2022, and like Microsoft didn't have any AAA first party stuff that I was like, wow, this is amazing. Whereas like on the PlayStation side, I'm like, there's like so many hits after hits on this type of thing.
And that's like on the forefront of things, right? There's like, oh, what about Call of Duty? What about this? What about that? But honestly, and I think we've put it on wax before, but really Microsoft wants king. They want a taste of that.
That's the big deal.
That sweet mobile honey, right? Like that's really what's behind the scenes of all this, but they don't talk about that because they don't even want to touch that. And it's Sony coming out, flying out, crying. Ryan, what's his name? No, is it? What the guy?
You're gonna say Ryan Seacrest?
The guy, Ryan, that went out to Brussels and trying to kick up some dust or whatever. But really, ultimately, it's Microsoft. Ryan. I think it's like even like half of the deal. Like, think about how huge Call of Duty is for us. We're kind of core gamers, right? But think about how huge Call of Duty is, and half of that sell is because they want King, because it does half of the revenue of Activision Blizzard, right? So it's ABK, Activision Blizzard King, and it's really like they have no. So you talk about like they don't have exclusives and this and that. They don't have anything in mobile, like at all, like not even like any kind of presence, right?
Yeah,
so.
they yeah, exactly. So they don't have a foot in that game, but they want to get in there. Yeah. And if you look at how a business survives, like Microsoft doesn't have the lead time and development time that PlayStation has had for their console business. They don't have like the lead time for mobile stuff like how King does, but they have tons of money. Yeah. So they're going to use their resources in order to get into that game, which they can see the potential for. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I don't see this lasting too long, especially with the lawsuit, maybe like a year or two. And then they'll get a result.
Yeah, ultimately, definitely. I think it'll go through, right? It's just a matter of like all these things that kick up. That's kind of interesting. Right. That's add a little wrinkles to this.
All these little wrinkles to it. Yeah.
Dalan, what do you think, man?
I'm going to give you a reminder that there was that transition between Xbox 360 and Xbox One where, everybody was hating on the Xbox One because you had to be connected online at all times. Your camera was always recording you. They tried to do that whole TV system thing. They were trying to make Xbox One your number one console for everything, including TV, all services, video games, doesn't matter what it was. But PlayStation was just like, you know what, we're just gonna do our thing. You guys try and figure out what you're doing with your life. And PS4 was completely dominated the market. And every time I talk to somebody about their Xbox One, including you, Carlos, I was like, "Have you touched your Xbox One lately?" No, it's collecting dust. So
Hey,
I was like,
Game Pass got me on it. Game Pass has got me on it.
Xbox needed to make moves, and I said that multiple times, and they made some really strong moves. They're just trying, at first they were just trying to get their fan base back, then they were trying to stay afloat, and now they're like, you know what, we got to stay competitive. Let's take on this competition by bringing stuff to us, because they knew that they didn't have any good first party games. Everybody wanted to go to PlayStation for first party games. Xbox is great for their multiplayer, but when you're not playing with your friends online, or when they ain't got time, or when you're not on the same schedule, let me play my one player game. Yeah, exactly. I don't need to do that on the Xbox. I could do that on the PlayStation and get trophies.
This is like, like we were just talking about the mobile end of things, but it's like killing two birds with one stone, right? They get the mobile part of it, and
they didn't throw stones. They rolled a boulder and they punched it 5 times.
And they punch, and you gotta mash the B button or whatever to smash through. But like I said, like I was gonna say, they also fluff up their own like first party, right? And their own like kind of a catalog that they're like, oh, we can build it out now. Now, what do you got to say? What do you got to say, PlayStation? Stop sending this man to Brussels all the time, and let's just let this deal go through. But as we were talking
PlayStation said, let's catch up.
Catchup.com.
That's how we got Plus Supreme.
Plus Supreme, indeed. But yeah, so we'll talk about Game Pass, Dan, the last quick one, and then we'll get into the Wackies, 2022 Wacky Awards. Is that High on Life is the biggest 2022 Game Pass release. It is the largest third-party release on the service, so that's kind of huge, man. And I know this one's
what
kind
does
of
that even
for
mean?
Dale, so is the what do you think? You've played this game, from what I understand, a little bit, right? But do you think the Rick and Morty like universe, or the following is that huge that people are like, "Ooh, wait, there's like a free game from the makers of Rick and Morty that's on Game Pass and it's blown up," or do you think it's separate from that, from like that potential fandom crossing over?
It's kind of a couple, like the whole Rick and Morty humor shtick is very how do you say, it's very narrow. I don't even enjoy it like a lot of the time. I get tired of it after like 2 episodes of the damn thing. It's funny and compelling, but like I was like, oh, I'm so exhausted of it. But the thing is, like, it works in North America really well. It's like the whole South Park thing. Like South Park is popular, but like very, very strong in America.
I thought you were going to say something about Canada right now.
Well, no, they kind of go into that too. They go into there.
Hey, it's all right. Blame Canada.
Yeah. So, but like, if you were to bring that same kind of, which is great, it's fine, and that's where, like, you know, here is where like Game Pass is probably the most prominent, or at least like has the highest subscriptions like ratio to consoles, or attachment rate to whatever, I don't know what the metric is called nowadays, to like your device, is here in North America as opposed to other territories. So it makes sense that like it is the most played, or the biggest release on Game Pass so far.
But what does that mean, really?
It does. It's a really weird metric, because they didn't really say that either. They didn't post a number. They didn't post like a time frame, or like a release date. I don't know. I'm not too sure what that means.
Well,
like, are they burning more servers on this one than other ones?
Especially because, you know, Xbox didn't really have any huge things. You know, we didn't get Starfield. Halo came out last year, right? So it's like, well, what came out in 2022? We at least know it beat Rat Tail Requiem, I guess, right? We at least know that.
I figured that was going to be the case.
And being the largest third-party release on the service kind of maybe doesn't tell us as much either, though, because did it beat Halo? Did it beat Halo's number or anything like that? So
what does that mean, really? It could have blown up and it's going to deflate soon. Watch, give it a day or two.
Yeah, no, but I mean, but that's fine at a peak, but it's saying like it beat any other game that released on the service, right? So it's kind of, it's a big deal, but ultimately, yes, if we don't have true hard numbers, it's kind of like, okay, it's huge.
Okay, that's nice. Thanks for telling us.
Anything else, Dale, before we get into our
I'll get into it later when I go into the what we've been playing.
To the gameplay aspect of it, right?
I'll talk about High on Life.
So look, we'll get into the 2022 Wacky Awards, the second year of these games. They're a little wacky. We start not so wacky, but at some point, as you'll find out, They get really wacky, right? But we'll get to the first
Get
one.
stupid
That
wacky.
it's just and maybe I don't know how I feel about wacky. I like wacky, but maybe we change it up. But I don't know. I like
Hey
wacky for
man,
now.
I'm gonna say this, and I said it off mic. I'm gonna say it now. Dale's got the wackiest award that I've ever
I
seen.
like it. I like it.
Carlos,
I like it.
Carlos, when you were fixing your computer, I inserted number 13
Okay.
into the rundown.
I'm not gonna.
It might be out of left field. I
Okay.
don't know if any of you guys will get it, but
Okay.
I'll explain
All
it.
right, we'll see. Well, we'll start with not so wacky. We're just kind of gonna lean into it. They're basically kind of non-traditional awards, right? But the first one is a classic here. On the second year, it's a classic. My 20XX game of 2022. This award goes to the game that it came out any other time that was not 2022, and you just happened to play it this past year. So, Dalan, we'll go with you first, man. What is your 20XX game of 2022?
Hey man, I played the heck out of NieR Replicant. That game came out I don't know how many years ago. Then it was remade, and now they relaunched it because NieR Automata did so well. And I kept putting it off, but I finally did it this year, and I was not disappointed at all. That was the funnest game, one of the funnest games that I played this year. Just period.
Is this one the NieR Replicant 1.2546789?
Yeah, that one, the one with the long digits.
Why did you put the whole title in there, Dalan? I don't
Because
understand.
I don't know the number.
right.
Whatever it is, Carlos, you need to play it.
All right, no, man.
Like
I'm
I
not trying
said,
to
you
play
don't have to
something
do
18
multiple.
times.
You don't
I
have.
actually,
You
I
don't
actually
have
do want to play that
multiple-
one. I do want to play that one.
I knew it. I knew it. You were gonna get Deo involved in this. Deo, what is your 20XX game of 2022?
Mine is definitely Deathloop, the lovely Arcane Studios joint, which a lot of people I heard is like not even their favorite Arcane game, but I do enjoy that one for some reason.
Hey, I just
know,
like to say
Carlos,
it's the
you
most
love it.
arcade game that you've ever
It is
arcade.
literally that. It's
I
literally
look.
that.
There is. How about this? I love it so much, which is sarcasm, by the way. That it has its own award. It has its own award.
does,
It has
do.
its own award. You'll hear about it
do.
soon. It is my. It's the Deathloop Award. So, by the way,
It's the Deathloop Award.
By the way, damn Deathloop. I tried, man. I tried. I tried.
I understand.
But Dale,
I appreciate that
like
you tried.
I like that you enjoyed. For me, the 20XX game of 2022 is Bayonetta 1. And I did play 2, so I don't know if you guys kind of want to mash those together. But it's something that I've put off for the longest time, Bayonetta 1. You guys have heard me talk about it on Wax before. But for me, I learned about it, and it's good. Bayonetta is good, man. Bayonetta 1
Would you choose Bayonetta 2 over 1? Or you would choose straight up 1?
No, those blur together in his life.
I know,
man.
right? That's
you gotta
interesting.
understand.
That's
You
the
look
thing.
at Bayonetta, you're like, it's all the same, but it's so much fun.
To me,
it's
to me, it's like I also did play God of War 2018 edition, but to me, and that was great. That was beautiful, but Bayonetta, for whatever reason, man, I really dug it. It's a game that like brings me back. I think it brings me back. We're talking about game 20XX. This is a 2010 game that reminds me of what was it? 2001. 2003 Ninja Gaiden, right? Like I'm like Devil May Cry, kind of that stuff. I was like, I'm having fun with this, and I like the dodging. I never cared about dodging, but here I am.
But you needed it.
But I needed
no,
it.
I wanted to play that game, and I started a file. I literally started a file, but it was right off the cusp of me playing Devil May Cry 4, and I had already played every other Devil May Cry, DMC, Devil May Cry 4, waiting on Devil May Cry 5 because I heard it was coming out, and then I was like, let me play some Bayonetta. I was like, this is Devil May Cry. Yeah, and I put it down, and I never went.
Definitely try it out. Definitely try it out. I did mashing buttons for the longest time, but the bosses force you to, like, okay, you can't
learn.
You got to learn a little bit the combos, but it's fun. I think as it's gone on, and I've been playing 3. I think they've gotten a little easier to play too. Like the difficulty has gone a little easier. I think 1 is the hardest one probably, especially with 2 that you have the touch controls. I'm using touch controls.
No, the touch controls.
I did for 2. I did, but 3 they did away with that for whatever reason. There's no touch controls in 3. But with 2, yeah, the touch controls were kind of nice. They worked for me. We'll move on to the second wacky here, the Wacky Award for the biggest surprise. Dalan, what was your biggest surprise? Yeah, and look, as I'm looking at the rundown. They can be for a game, they can be for a story, they can be for whatever you want, right? But the biggest surprise award from you, Dalan, what is it?
the sudden and unsurprising shutdown of Stadia. That was a big surprise to me. After learning that Stadia was even still open after a full year of it being out, I was like, why have they not shut down? You could go back through most of these recordings that we have, and I'm just like, every time I'm saying, why are they still around? How are they still around? I don't understand. They should have been shut this down. But then out of the blue, no warning, they're gone.
Oh, there was a warning because Google asked themselves that very exact question, and they said, why are we still around? It's time. It's time. So I do like how it was your unsurprising surprise. Dude, very reasonable. Anything on that, Dale, or do you want to get to your award of biggest surprise?
No, okay. So like, also with that, like I had a friend that worked on the Stadia team, and so like I didn't hear from him for like the longest time after that thing launched, right? So I was like, I wonder if he's okay. And that was for a long time after, right? And I hit him up after I heard the news, and I was like, oh yeah, I've moved on from that like 3 months ago. And I was like, oh, this is not doing
Everybody
too well.
did.
He jumped off the boat just in time, huh? Dale, what is your biggest surprise for 2022?
My biggest surprise for 2022 is I don't know if it's that subjective, but like to me, I'm surprised that the Steam Deck is as popular and sought after as it is. I thought it was going to be kind of like this niche PC product that is like too expensive for most people to get into, but like it's absolutely killing it out there in terms of like development for it, aftermarket support, updates and everything, and like the community's taken a shine to it, both the like emulation community and the regular Steam community. You could do so much things with it. That's the one refreshing thing about it, is that it's such like an open platform, whereas all of these other handhelds and like consoles are becoming more and more closed. So it's nice to see something like this on the market available to everybody.
And it's become, go ahead, Dale. My bad.
Sorry. And I was just saying that, and it's surprising that it's done so well, given it's like a version 1 of the product. Like normally, like the second version does really well, or is like refined everything, and which I'm sure they're working on right now, and will reiterate on. But like they hit it out of the gate, and I was like, damn, they're doing it right. So I'm happy
and
for them.
it's kind of readily available now, right?
It is.
What I understand, they're like, nope.
Manufacturing, definitely is more steady nowadays. Yeah. So if you really want one, I think you could get one shipped to you within a week, I believe, nowadays.
Yeah. There you go. And you know what? I like that you guys kept it in the spirit of biggest surprise. It could be anything. I'm gonna be boring on this one. I'm gonna say it
I'm gonna say surprise to Carlos.
I'm gonna say again. My biggest surprise was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. That thing. Look, it was from Digital Eclipse. It was.
What?
I should have known it was good
I don't
quality,
blame you.
but I didn't know, man. I didn't know how fun it was.
You didn't know how much fun.
And we really only played it for a couple days, but those couple days.
And we didn't just play it. We destroyed that game. We went through the entire thing.
I mean, it's like the arcade games. It's not super long, right? So, but the fact that it has 6-player co-op, online co-op, and it gave me the.
You could do couch co-op and play online with those couch people, with other couch people.
That's what I was gonna say, Dalan, is the fact that I don't play too many games with my child, and she's really into The Sims and all these other games that aren't necessarily multiplayer. So the fact that I was like me, my child on the couch playing online with Dalan and like 2 other people in his household, then added my brother.
Insane.
Another location.
So a whole different location. It's definitely. I should have been. It was gonna. I knew. Look, it's Digital Eclipse. Though I hope that's who they are, right, Dale? I'm getting that right? It's Digital Eclipse.
Yeah, you got
it. They do quality games. I know it was Shantae, I believe, was one of their games. I think. No, that's Way Forward. My bad. That's Way Forward. But Digital Eclipse, we should have known it was good. But just the fact that they got the online right and they were able to. We just had fun, and it was only really a few nights, Dylan. But that was like, this is incredible. I love it, and it's on Game Pass. So
343 needs to have a talk with Eclipse and fix their online.
Halo Infinite, man, fix that shit.
100%.
The next thing we have on here is the biggest disappointment of 2022 Wacky Award. Dalan, please to go ahead, man.
I'm just gonna do a brief adage to this one simply because we brought up the systems. No, it's in the same line. A pretty big disappointment was the Atari VCS. How it suddenly got shut down. It's basically the same thing as the Steam Deck, except it's not mobile. So everybody was like, Nah, we're gonna go with mobile.
Yeah, exactly.
But my biggest disappointment, and I was waiting for it for a good 2 years after they kept postponing it, was Resident Evil Verse or Reverse or whatever the hell they wanted to call it. Oh man, it was broken when it first dropped. It's broken now.
Yeah, man.
I was hoping that they would update the graphics for that game.
Dude,
It
that's
looks-
so funny because you were texting us. You were in the group chat texting like, "Oh, let's play this game."
Yes, I was like, let's do it. Let's all get in this thing and try it because I figured it would be a fun little party game to try out. But even by myself, it was still like, man, there is nothing to this game. I don't know why they postponed this game for a year and a half just to launch it the exact same way. I don't know what issues they had.
I will say though, Dalan, they've never proven they can do a good Resident Evil multiplayer game. All right, they've never proven that. And I got into one match.
Mercenaries.
I got into one match. Yeah, but okay, maybe, but not like a multiplayer like sort of a deathmatch
Deathmatch,
because
no versus.
Mercenaries had its nice little sort of mode to it, right? But yeah, the one match I got in with you, Dan, was like, I've seen enough. That's when like they pushed it out.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It is exactly the same, even with its free launch. That was janky just to be able to get into the free version of that game.
It was rough, man. Dale, what do you got, man? What's your biggest disappointment of 2022?
The biggest disappointment game that I've played is Gran Turismo 7, definitely. But it might not be a disappointment in a way that everyone thinks is a disappointment. It's kind of like how you have your favorite sports team, and they have years when they're just bad, they're just awful, and like you're just like, oh god, but I love them, and I'm still gonna play them, even though
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right? It's the same exact kind of feeling. So you have all these lofty expectations, like in the beginning of like a sports year, and then you're just like, oh, they're gonna go all the way, they're gonna do great for us, and then at the end of the year, it's like, oh, it's kind of shite. But Gran Turismo gives me that feeling because the franchise started off so high. The bar was raised when Gran Turismo 3 came out and Gran Turismo 2 came out. And like the series has been kind of on a decline and has been heading towards a more like esports focus. And the economy isn't fixed at all. And it's been 10 months since release.
Did you finally get that trophy you were like hunting? And
no,
to be able
it's
to buy
so
a car?
broken. Like I can't get the damn. It's so bugged. I can't even get the last trophy to get a platinum. So I'm just like, I don't even care right now, even though that's like busting my balls.
Hey man,
and like I
the
finally
disc
was
out the
able
window.
to sell cars in the damn game, like which has been a feature since like the first Gran Turismo, and it's baffling that they would like take it out for this one just to push their microtransaction focus too. And I'm just like, ugh, I love this game, but
biggest disappointment indeed.
So
biggest disappointment, and I kind of made up another different award, but it's basically the same thing. But for me, it's the biggest disappointment / Daddy Did It Better award, and it goes to the Callisto Protocol. That game, we know where it came from. We know that it was originally based on Dead Space and Dead Space 2 and 3. Dead Space 2.
Hey.
Look, if we're considering canonically, it's Dead Space 1, 2, 3, and then Callisto Protocol 2 is still the best out of all of them. And Callisto Protocol is down there as a trash boy in 4th place, all right? Because it was good. It's nice. The graphics are good. The gameplay.
Wait. Pause. You're putting Callisto Protocol over 3, that over monetized piece of crap
I know what I said.
couldn't even finish.
Oh, I know.
We
what
didn't
I
even
said.
finish
He did not
3.
stutter. He did not stutter.
Not stutter. All right, I know what I said. We had high hopes, and I know it's towards the end of the year.
We did.
They're trying to avoid the blast radius of Call of Duty, right? As everyone is, and they rightfully should.
Nah, they did not avoid the blast radius of God of War though. It's too close to God.
Yeah, so God of War and Modern Warfare is out there with the blast radius. Man, I was looking forward to. I love Dead Space. Like those are some great games, and you get a lot of the same vibes from those games. But they switched it up.
It's not it.
They switched it up gameplay wise, but it's like it takes you too long to get guns. It takes you the melee combat's okay. They're trying to make a sort of a combo system to it, but and the story was just kind of also ran. It wasn't. Play it if you must, I guess. But I
Game Pass.
Just
Game
wait
Pass,
for the
please.
remake of Part 1.
Oh.
Wait for the remake of Dead Space 1.
I definitely Game Pass. Look, if it drops on Game Pass, that would be beautiful. Try it out, man. Give it a shot. It's not too long. It's yeah.
If you didn't play the other Dead Space games, this is a good start. But then it's nowhere to go but up from there.
Yeah, Daddy did it best. And we do have we have an actual Dead Space remake coming out in a month, which I hope is good because it's, I believe, from Motive Studios, right? And I hope that one's
yeah. Visceral got shut down. We're not gonna get anything from Visceral.
Oh man.
We'll see. The next thing we have on here is the most broken game played this year. This is one that Dalan threw it up there. I'm sure it'll come back in future years, Dalan. Most broken game played this year. What is your decision, Dalan?
Hey, this is the second year running for this award because last year it was that PC game that we tried for a little while, that Cyberpunk PC game. I can't even remember the name of it. It was Ascent. That's what it was. It was Ascent. It was super broken last year. But this year it was Dying Light 2. I hated running through that game so much. And it was so broken. We had points where we couldn't finish missions. We couldn't kill the boss. At some point, I was falling to the floor. The missions weren't showing up for me, but they were showing up for Carlos. Like somebody had a waypoint, somebody else didn't. We were trying to do wall runs, and it just wouldn't let us actually press the button, whatever it was. At some point, I tried to open a door, and it didn't give me the option to open the door. I was supposed to open the door, and the option was not there. It was so terrible. I was so mad about it, and I heard that I've come to find that they did enough updates to potentially fix these bugs, but I feel like they fixed the bugs the same way that they fixed Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah. See, look, we would go to Dale next, Dalan, but. And this was my most broken game / cluster fuck of the year is Dying Light 2 as well. And look, Dalan, all I'll say is Dalan, all I'll say is ditto, man. Just
damn. Is this history making on the Wacky Awards? Where it nominated the same thing?
Dominated the same thing. It was a rough landing, indeed. It was a very, very rough landing. We did make it through though, Dalan, right? Everything in co-op makes it better, but it was super rough, man. It definitely.
Hey, the only thing that they fixed in Dying Light 2 that was better than Dying Light 1 was at the end of the game we were able to actually run to the end of the game together. Yeah. Because in Dying Light 1, there was the point where Carlos lost his file.
Oh, yeah.
And he was only able to play with me. And so he could only play with me, but then when we got to the last mission, it said you cannot play with your friend. But luckily the game said, all right, we're gonna let you do this. So it was either Carlos beat it at that point or he wasn't beating it at all.
It was gonna be rough, dude. It was gonna be rough. That was for one though, right? That was for one.
So that was one. Part 2
didn't do that to us, right? At least 2 was okay, but yeah, that thing was damn, man, it just was rough. Damn. It was just rough. Hey, zombie parkour is harder than you think. I'm hoping that what's the next one we have that's zombie parkour? I don't know if they do that much.
No. There's the next zombie game, Dead Island. Dead Island 2 is coming out. So
yeah, so hopefully we'll see what they do with that, man. But anything co-op is it makes it a little funner, even if it's broken as hell.
Even if it's broken.
Deo, what's your most broken game played this year?
Yeah. Okay. So I haven't bought this game, but I played it at my cousin's house for Christmas,
and it was broken enough.
And it was broken there, and it was Pokemon Scarlet, and just because I wanted to try it, and I was like, okay, this is fun. They're changing up the formula, but that shit's broken, bro. Like it's so like there's like clipping everywhere. Like it took like 2 minutes for the Pokemon to come out of the Pokeball, and like it's just baffling. Like I've never seen a Nintendo product so bad in shape. It's really bad, and I don't know. I'm kind of concerned about that going forward for Nintendo products, but I don't know. A second game that I would put up there very close is High on Life. High on Life is very buggy. Okay. At least the version that I was playing, and I've been playing it on my PC Game Pass. So, but I'll talk more about that.
All right. Okay, little teaser. You teased us already twice on this, Dale.
I'm doing it.
We'll
I'm going.
get in what you've been playing. We'll get more on that one. But yes, Pokemon is rough. Dude, this means Nintendo, they need to get their version 2.0, dude. Swole 2.0. I'm ready. I'm ready to line up.
Hey man, they knocked it. I heard that Nintendo was bringing it up, and they knocked it back down again. They were like, "Pro, nah, we decided not to. Wait, Pro, nah, we're just gonna not."
Did you see the leaks for the new, like, the Zelda?
That's what I was gonna say. So
console. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. There's some leaks going around that there's gonna be like a bundled in Swoled with Zelda or something. At that point, they're already saying like, you're stuck with the Swoled, exactly. Doesn't have a significant hardware booster. So we're stuck with the Switch and Switch Swoled till at least, what is it, May? I think is when the next Zelda's gonna come out. So we're stuck with
at
that
least for a year. I think we're still for a good year.
It's rough, dude. It's rough. Hey, most broken gameplay this year by Dale, 2022 Pokemon Scarlet. The next one, and I think I kind of want to rename this one so for next year, but for this we'll still call it this most frictionless game. I feel like it, honestly, I don't think there's a game that can be more frictionless, even the one that I have for this, than Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, right, from last year. I think it needs to be the Rift Apart or it needs to be that award. Nobody can top them. It was so frictionless, but we'll try it. This game in 2022 tried at being frictionless. Dalan, what is it? What's your decision on this?
My decision in this case, because it was so smooth, even though it was, I believe it was an indie game, Stray. Stray was an extremely smooth game. Like, you could do all kinds of things for your cat, and it was a smooth transitions. Your cat was actually doing the things that you attempted to do with your cat. Sometimes it was hard to get on top of a box that you wanted to or jump down.
Already seen the cracks on the frictionless. See, I'm telling you.
No.
Too. But go ahead.
My bad. That just comes down to a small targeting system. Okay. That's all it was. It was just a narrow and precise targeting system. That's all it was.
Just a little bit of friction there, but
but it was the most frictionless compared to all the other games that I played this year.
All right, straight. I mean, the Ratchet and Clank, dude, that thing is too smooth. But I didn't interrupt anymore. That was your statement on Stray, Dalan. That was for the most part. Yeah, it was pretty smooth, right? It was pretty smooth.
What's yours, Carlos? What is your game?
Whoa.
Hold on.
We got an order to things, Dalan.
Hey man, it's your wackiness. You're being wacky right now.
Being wacky right now.
So Dale, what is your most frictionless? Can't top Ratchet and Clank, but what's your most?
I didn't read that, but like, I think I want to agree with Dalan. I want to change my answer to Stray.
Okay.
He's right. Like, if you think about the pacing of the game, like how easy it is to get all the achievements in it too, not only just like gameplay wise and all this other stuff, it's really easy to do, to slide it into there. So
I had absolutely no issues with that game the whole way through. You knew what you needed to do most of the time.
You weren't lost any time. They didn't give you there's like a little part which is like open a little bit where you have to do some adventuring a couple times, but like other than that, like you kind of knew where you had to go and what you needed to do.
And it had great scenery too. Yeah. It was a beautiful game, man.
Hey, I gotta be honest, Dale. You just did a me earlier. My earlier.
You didn't write down anything here. We don't see any of your answers.
Look, because it's supposed to be like a little surprise. But you guys did not follow the rules on the wackiness. You guys are keeping it truly wacky.
Hey, this is wacky enough. It's wacky for the people on the other side of this mic. I'll tell you that.
I will say, I changed my answer earlier. I was gonna say Saints Row 2022, but I was like, damn. After Dalan's soliloquy, I was like, I gotta change my answer. So, Dalan, you have been right. You have been right twice, man. And you've been convincing enough. You've been convincing enough to like, you know what? I gotta change my answer.
Yeah.
But for most frictionless, like I said, there was enough friction and Stray for me that I can't change my answer to.
All right, what's yours? What is yours?
Frictionless gaming, and like I said, nothing can top Ratchet and Clank's smoothness. But God of War Ragnarok. God of War Ragnarok was too smooth. Anytime I got even just a tiny bit stuck, I was like, you know what? This is my fault right now. This is my fault. It's too smooth. Let me put it on.
You blame yourself. It's my fault.
Let me put it on 60 hertz mode. Let me put the graphics down, and it's super smooth. And now frictionless gaming. But it's on me. It's on me that I always want the most ray tracing. Even if I can tell it's a 30 now. I can distinguish the frames now. I can tell it's running slower. but it's my fault. But God of War Ragnarok, it was one of those games, and to me, Frictionless is kind of like you just want to keep playing. You just want to like. I just want to play
you cannot put down that controller once you have it in your hand. Once you've loaded that game, it is hard to put it down. You don't even know when the chapter ends.
And it's a long ass game too. Like you guys know, I'm about my short games, and this is a God of War Ragnarok is a long ass game, and I'll talk about it a little bit more on what you've been playing. But it's a long ass game, and the fact that this game's like I'm gonna keep going. It's just too smooth. It's just I'm having too much fun, right? So go ahead. Okay, Dale, go ahead. Okay, raise
the hand up. I started a thing.
I just want to say for full disclosure, before I changed my answer to Stray, I chose Last of Us Part 1, which is another like Sony exclusive kind of thing, and their games are just like super frictionless. I love those.
They push you along, right? They kind of like tease you, like, what's over there? What's on the other side of things? Damn, I need to know. I need to know. It's too smooth. We're gonna get into the. Go ahead, Dalan. Go ahead.
I got a quick question for you, Carlos. Simply because it didn't end up on here, and I didn't get a chance to play it. Gotham Knights, Carlos. How unfrictionless was that game?
Dude, that's like the opposite, right? Like that's the opposite. We didn't play it though, Dalan. Like it could be better in co-op, man. We got a gameplay. We got to coordinate that.
We'll eventually do it now that we've gotten some of these other things.
But
maybe that'll be our 20XX.
Gotham. It didn't get its own award because it doesn't deserve anything, unless it's like a crappy game. But it does get mentioned. A couple awards down the line, it does get mentioned.
I thought made by Deathloop games. They tried.
So I thought you were gonna say The Last of Us Part 1, Dale. So I put this next one, the wacky one, but you changed your mind. So whatever. But to me, this one of the special awards for myself is like, why not release like this in the first place? Goes to The Last of Us Part 1. Why wasn't it this smooth back in 2014 and 2013? I understand. It was on PS3, and I understand.
It was still pretty smooth for the time that it came out. That's why I'm not mad. That's why I can't put that on that list, because it was the smoothest game at the time.
But look, this award is super wacky. Follows no logic.
Follows no logic.
To me, it's like, why didn't it release the first? Of course, it couldn't release that way. I just wanted to mention The Last of Us Part 1, how amazing that game is, right? Because I didn't see any other award to put it in. To me, it's like, it should have released like this in the first place. But go play Part 1. I know one of our buddies, Abel, is playing like the 2014 edition. The thing is, he's not that big of a gamer to tell him go drop $60-$70 on Part 1, but he's playing the 2013 or whatever the remastered was on PS4. He's playing through that, and I'm like, damn, dude, just Part 1 is so good. It looks so great. The water graphics, especially, the water graphics, Dale, where the water and the moss kind of mixes in.
Amazing. Photorealistic.
Yeah, not only
they also got rid of.
Yeah, go ahead.
They got rid of like so many like annoying like the ladder carrying and like in that one part of where you get stuck in the tunnel and there's water in there. There's a couple of points where it's just like, what the hell is going on? And it's super janky because the physics and like the collision physics and the non-collision physics don't work quite right, Yeah. So they fixed all of that stuff, which is like, it makes so much things better.
And that's why I think Frictionless Game. But hey, look, Dalen's making some good cases out there. All right, he's making some good cases out there, but it should. I know, it's not logical. It doesn't make any sense, but it should have released like Part 1 released. It's just that great. We'll go to Deo's special #1 special award here. Well, just his first one. Just his first one to mention. But what do you got for us?
The wackiest award of all wacky awards.
What is your first wacky one?
I just want to say that this is probably one of the most prestigious awards we could give out. And it's very rare that this occurrence happens in gaming, but I'm glad they were able to bestow this particular game with this award. And I'm glad to introduce the best boobies in gaming of 2022 to Immortality. Congratulations to Gran engaged, and she has lovely boobies, and it was a joy to play through that game because of her. She was great.
Hey man, he told me about this, and the first thing I did was go on YouTube to look up a gameplay video.
Come on,
no! I was like, "What are you talking about?"
True story.
Nah, man, you go on YouTube and you can see that I didn't watch the whole video. It's like 5 hours long, but like 5 minutes in, she's in a sex scene, like off the bat. I'm like, man, you were not kidding. This was immediate.
So full frontal everything, and that's just one of the scenes. There's other ones too.
Look, I I'm keeping it out of logic again, Dylan, because I have an award here. It's not as prestigious as the Best Boobies Award of 2022. And this one's called the I Did the Click Award. And it's to Immortality. All right, Immortality. Like, dude, all you do is click around, dude. Dalan, whatever you saw online on YouTube, dude, that's not how the game is at all.
No. I saw the guy playing the game. He was just clicking all over the screen trying to figure out what he needs.
Dalan, click play on the YouTube
That is the gameplay in that. You're literally clicking around and you're getting random fucking clips, dude. That's all you're doing for like a couple hours till I guess I got the ending. I got the secret ending, Dale, but just clicking around. I was done with that game, dude. I can't believe like the high reviews that this game is getting. I looked up, okay, what the fuck is the point of this? And then I was like, oh, okay, I kind of understand it. It's still the gameplay in quotes is wacky, dude. Dalan, if you go
did not hold your attention enough.
I beat it, dude. I beat the game, but I spent like hours clicking around just random props and shit. I'm like,
it takes like 5 or 6 hours to click around this entire thing. You watching old vintage clips of shit.
Dude, I was ready to throw that thing in the trash, boy, dude. I look, damn it, Sam.
But what kept you going, Carlos? I just want to ask, what kept you going?
I needed to find out the mystery. I needed to find out.
Oh, the lies we
you know, I look. You're trying to.
He needed to be able to figure out how many freckles she really had there.
This game there's a mystery involved to it. But yes, of course, these random scenes do pop up though. They definitely do not play it when people that are not of age, or actually it's kind of uncomfortable just by yourself. You're like, what the fuck? What these scenes randomly pop up, Dalan.
Oh my god.
Pop up. You don't know they're gonna come up, dude. You click on a prop and it's like, okay, reasonable.
You like
click. That's right. It's like it's what is it? A snow screen. It's a screen of snow. You're like, let me click on this, figure out what it is. Whoa, titties.
Dalan, it's on Game Pass. I Did the Click Award goes to Immortality. Take what you will from that. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's just click around for a minute or two, man. I guess if you want to. It's on Game Pass. That's all I can say. All right. The next thing we have on here is we threw Dale back in here. Dale's Wacky Special Number 2 Award. What is it, Dale? If you can kind of present it to us here.
It is the best palate cleanser kind of game. And so what happens is that after you play so many games of like shooting and looting and sword play and all this kind of thing, it's very frenetic and crazy. If you just want to settle down, this game is like the park bench that you just sit down and just like zone out for like a little bit. And it goes to Power Wash Simulator. It's one of the best games to turn off your brain. Anything. Because after your crazy day of work, like family or kids or what have you, like this is the best game to just click on and just like
I just want to power
zone
wash
out.
some things.
Wash something.
Yeah, that to me, I think I mentioned it before. But for me, it's the Rocket League, man. That's still the thing. I think we might have given the award to it last year or whatever it was, but that's Rocket League. But I do like that power wash. Of course, it's like let me just power wash some shit. What is your favorite thing that you've power washed on there, so far?
The wall, the paint off the wall.
No, my favorite one. My favorite one is the it's the Mars rover. That's the one that actually just like went offline like last week. It's been up there for like a few years, and so like it finally like lost power, so it's kind of dead. So that was my favorite one to wash.
Wait! You're talking about in real IRL or the game rotates items out?
No, in real life.
Oh,
in real life.
Got you. I was like, well, wait, I gotta get to this game if they're rotating these power washing things out. It's also on Game Pass, right? That's
correct.
Okay,
very correct.
I gotta try it, man. I still gotta mess with that. Maybe it becomes that for me. Damn, look, I kind of did not put the order correctly. Dan, let's go to you on the next one here, and then we'll go to mine. Dalan, what's your second special award here? Wacky Award now.
The cash grab game of the year. There's always that one game that comes out, they're putting it out just for the money, and they put no real thought into it. They were just like, put this out here and let's see if people buy it. I would have put Multiverses up here if it wasn't free. because that was a cash grab by itself. I
But
mean,
that was
everybody
actually
talked about it.
decent
Was
from what I understand. It's actually good. We got
if they made people buy that game, then it would have been a straight up cash grab. The game is the game is very much overrated. I played it. It's very much overrated.
Okay.
It's still a wannabe Smash Brothers, but the one that was the most egregious this year, because last year was Dragon Ball Kakarot or Kakarot, however you want to say it. This year, Demon Slayer. That game. It was basically, you might as well just watch the anime.
Yeah.
You might as well just watch the anime. They're literally taking you through the anime. Like, why am I not just watching the anime? I don't have to do the interactive part, and I still get the story.
Yeah, look, I will say they didn't lie to you, Dalan. I feel like I read a description of that game. It was like, you're playing through the scenes in the game. I was like, okay, I see what the fuck that is. I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised that you didn't call The Last of Us Part 1 a cash grab, Dan. That one's for Lisa.
No, that'd have been a good joke.
If Lisa ever listens, that's a special for Lisa right there. My wacky number 3, I guess, I should have worked better on ordering these, is, like I had said earlier, the Deathloop Award, which also subtitle, I mean, I tried to like it. And by the Deathloop Award, I mean, it's a game that, like, look, based on its construct, on its genre, I shouldn't like it, and Deathloop, I did try longer than I should have because I sort of liked it. But this award goes to Elden Ring, or Eld Ring, as Mr.
Eld Ring.
I understand it got Game of the Year at the Game Awards. I'd be surprised if it gets it here. We're very... we're very a special crowd. I will say that. And I would be surprised if Elden Ring gets it at We Got Cons. But for me, it was like, I tried, man. I think I played it 3-4 hours, and I was like, I got to get the fuck out of here. I've seen enough.
I played it for a good long time.
Even you jumped out, right? You didn't complete it, right? At some point, Dalan. So it's definitely, for me, it's this year's Deathloop Award goes to Elden Ring. All right. I tried to like it. I tried, man. Actually, what do we? Oh, Dale added one more before we go to our most anticipated for 2023. What happened? Go ahead, Dale.
I thought I only had 2, but yeah, this is my 3rd one, huh? So I can't.
It doesn't matter. Just do it.
By the way, if you guys don't know, Dale is truly in at least one. This might be the second.
Truly. This is the second one. Definitely.
I like how they try to blur it out. I like how the camera tried to blur it out. It's like, hold on, we can't.
I apologize. I apologize. So my wacky number 3. Now, it might not, this might be a long way of saying this, but it might not make sense to you guys initially, but I'll explain why it's called this. I call it the Kim Kardashian Game of the Year.
Okay.
Now, if you watch this TV show called Parks and Recreation, there's these jokes and everything. It's a live crew. It has Chris Pratt in it and all these comedians inside of it. And so there's an outtake of this city council meeting going on, right? And so the group is trying to decide how we're doing right now. Like, what was the best thing about our city that happened this year? What's the best festival we had this year? All this type of thing. And then one of the nominations that came around was called the Comeback of the Year Award, right? And so they're like, okay, who was good? Who had a good comeback this year, in the city wise? And then Chris Pratt's character goes,
yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
And everyone's like, what are you talking about?
Kim Kardashian didn't have a comeback. Yeah, we know.
She had come on her back.
I remember seeing
that in that movie. So the roundabout way of saying this is the Kim Kardashian Game of the Year is the comeback Game of the Year. And I've nominated and I've bestowed upon Cyberpunk 2077, which has come back from the doldrums of 2020 and has had a resurgence, especially with the anime.
Your award came with a backstory, and it was probably the dirtiest backstory.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We got there. We
did get there. Hey, the Kim Kardashian Game of the Year. We don't know. Hey, these games come out broken all the time, man. So
they do.
This might make a return.
Last year was No Man's Sky. This year is 2077.
Come on, man. What are we doing, Dalan?
Hey, man, they had a
Sean
comeback. I
Murray,
don't know what to tell you.
there's still an APB out on that man. There's still an APB out on Sean Murray. All right.
You're trying to murder this guy.
We need to
I
find
know.
this man.
Give us back our
Talking about
money.
It's gonna be a huge
Hey,
game.
hey.
It's gonna be this great, incredible thing with 10
Hey.
people on the team. Sean Murray with 10 people on the team.
Hey, I'm gonna inject an award here simply
Okay.
because everybody else got 3. Yes, I'm gonna quickly
Yes.
inject an award here. This particular award is the game that you're not sure if it's trying to rob you this year or not.
Okay.
And as much as I love this game, it is Destiny 2.
Oh,
Because
man, really?
the way, my God, man, they made you pay $100 for the Witch Queen. They're trying to make you pay $100 for the next year's thing that's coming out.
Yeah.
You needed Carlos almost quit on the game because you needed to pay $20 for a key in order to get the special, the anniversary edition. And this was at the very end of last year, but it rolled into this year, so I'm still counting it. The anniversary edition that came out right at the end of 2021 that one cost $25 by itself, and that was right next to the Witch Queen. So $100 plus the $25 plus the next season pass plus they're coming out with their next years and they're trying to rob you.
Yeah,
These
dude,
$100 drops.
Look, me and Dalan have been down this Destiny 2 path, and I think we will still continue as much as it.
We're too deep into
We're
it.
in too deep at this point. But there was a point where like one of the dungeons or something like that came out this past year. I was like, all right, Dalan, let's get down. I paid my $30 or $40 or whatever, and it's like, no, you need a key. I was like, oh, okay, what's the key? Oh, $20. I literally said like let me put these headphones away, and I need to walk away and come back. Tomorrow or another day, and like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
You almost didn't come back. You didn't come back.
But it's so much, and we're in so deep that at this point it's like the next thing is $100 to get everything. I'm like, I'm gonna pay $100. I have a kitty. It's already collecting money in there for $100 for the next Destiny 2 launch because I just need everything. I don't want to go up to a dungeon, Dalan, right, or whatever release, and I'm like, what?
Do you have access to this? I don't know.
I want to know that I have access to everything. So instead of paying $60, $70, like all the kids complain about games are $70, like try being a Destiny 2 fan, and it's $100 just to make sure you have everything.
It hurts.
It's upsetting. It's upsetting, but it's too good. It's Bungie. It's too good. And they're trying to rob us, and we're gonna take it. We'll see for 20. So the last award here, the last Wacky Award, is for our 2023 most anticipated game. There's a lot of stuff coming out, dude. A lot of things that got pushed out from 2022 and like previous years. 23 is gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. But Dalan, out of everything that's coming out, what do you think, man? What's your most anticipated game?
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't go around looking for all the games that are coming out next year. The only one that I've been anticipating since their original announcement, when it was called something else at the time, it was like Project Attica or something like that. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Even when they announced it at that point, when PS5 hadn't even dropped yet, they announced Forsaken, and it's in another form. So I've been waiting for
Forsaken.
Forspoken. Sorry.
Forspoken.
Sorry, we just came off of the Destiny talk. You'll have to excuse me. But for Forspoken, though, I did actually play the demo a little bit, and I didn't get to any like real, like, what is the word I'm looking for? Real dialogue parts. But you got this basically book or something that's following around, and she's talking to it the whole damn time, and they're bantering, but it can get irritating after a minute. But the gameplay for it, even for the demo,
hey, Dalan, already
was pretty
cracking
smooth.
at the seams here with the friction.
Hey, no, that one's not a friction issue. That one's just. I'm not sure how long I can really deal with the banter. I mean, it can be funny sometimes, but there are times where you're just like, I just want to turn off the banter.
Maybe it's like
I just want to turn
Genshin Impact, dealing with the wacky little.
No, this voice is not as irritating as Goman or whatever her name was. I don't remember her name.
So Forspoken, Dalan, your 2023 most anticipated game. What about you, Dale? What's your most anticipated game?
Hands down, it's got to be Resident Evil 4 Remake for me. Every time I see it, I just like want to play it. So
every time I see it, I want to play it.
I want to play it. It looks darker and like, it's not all. You know how the first Resident Evil 4 was kind of like like kind of like campy a little bit. I think they're gonna get rid of all of that to make it a little bit more serious for the remake.
Hey, man.
Oh, I'm
If
looking
they
forward
can
to
make
that.
it, if they can make it like a good horror game again, kind of like they took a step back and did 2, which was great. 3, I guess that was just a good speed run game that they decided to make.
Yeah.
But hey, if they can make it a good horror game, like going to the roots like they did with Resident Evil 7, I'm down for it.
That's what I'm hoping. And so that's what I really looking forward to. So I'll buy that day one, also with like a pack of diapers for myself. And yeah.
I might actually need to buy a reiteration of Resident Evil 4. As many re-releases of that game that it's had, VR, Wii, first person, whatever.
Definitive version.
This is
Mobile
that I want to get.
now I will say, so Dale, I think I'm pretty sure we brought it up on Wax more than a few times, right? But it's one of those like that the creator says like, oh, I whipped this up in a month, the story or whatever, right? While he was on the can, he
on
whipped
the
up
toilet.
on the toilet. But from what I understand, this is gonna be the most faithful of the recreations. So it might be close to what we already saw before. But
Resident Evil 2's remake was a pretty faithful adaptation of the game.
Man. So good. 3 was good too, though. 3, they kind of were like, it's not. Exactly
they threw 30. They threw at least like 50% of the game out the window.
But it was nice. Whatever they did was nice. I did like 3. I like 2 more. I like the remake of 2 more, but 3 was pretty good too, man.
That random railgun at the end. I was like, what is happening with this? But I'll do it.
So I know you didn't look through any list, and I did look through a list. But in 2023, these are just some honorable mentions for me. The Dead Space remake that we talked about. Dale just mentioned Resident Evil 4. Final Fantasy 16 is coming out with all the racism and everything that it entails. Spider-Man 2, they narrowed down that Spider-Man 2 should be coming out in 2023. Of course, the Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Come on, man, that's dropping on this week.
I didn't even beat Breath of the Wild. Did you beat Breath of the Wild?
Haven't, but now I have a deadline. to beat Breath of the Wild.
There's motivation now.
Motivation now, so Tears of the King. And I did it this past year, man. 2022, I did it with God of War. I did it with Bayonetta. I was like, I'm catching up.
Oh, yeah. I think I played Skyward Sword this year, and that was a pretty damn good game.
There you go. So those are coming out, Dalan. But for me, I feel another last honorable mention, Suicide Squad is supposed to be coming out this year. And by Rocksteady. Remember I had mentioned about Gotham Knights? I was like, Gotham Knights shit the bed. I'm hoping that...
that was WB Games. Rocksteady came back.
Let's get an actually good game, and it's going to be voiced by... the animated series. What's the man's name? From the Batman animated series. He passed away, man. We don't remember.
Oh, Kevin Conrad.
There we go.
Kevin Conroy.
Conroy. He's gonna be voicing them, so that's gonna be nice. But Brockstate, but for me,
Dale felt embarrassed for a second. I was like, don't worry about it.
I feel bad because he died.
After
I'm so drunk and he died.
He's feeling it. Dale's feeling it, dude. I'm gonna grab a Truly after, man. I don't know if I can put this together right after. I'm gonna get a little Truly going. I'll join you, Dale. So it's a tie for me. If you guys want, I can give an answer, but it's a tie for me. Starfield and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, man, are like my most /anticipated games of 2023, man. Look, it was the inaugural, it was the undisputed, or what they call it, the unanimous game of the year of We Got Comms in 2020, our first year of the site being born. That it was for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Dude, I'm hyped about Rebirth. I'm super hyped about it. Crisis Core.
Wait, Rebirth is that Crisis Core Rebirth or what?
No. This is part 2. Final Fantasy VII part 2.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be out. Supposed to be. It could always be pushed, especially when they have Final Fantasy 16. But I'm gonna keep the hope alive. The one that this better come out. Because we're talking about $7 billion or however much Microsoft paid for Bethesda, but Starfield better come out, and you guys know how much I love my Western or open RPGs. My body is ready.
You threw all that at me, and I can't lie. Ever Crisis was one of the games that I was definitely waiting for, but I haven't heard anything about it, so I don't even know if it's coming out. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis. Yeah. I am 100% down for that. I don't care if it looks like I don't care if it's mobile. I'll pay for that.
All right, there you go. I think it's Starfield or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I'm a little concerned, especially with Final Fantasy 16 coming out next year. I don't know if they would drop both of them in the same year. Potentially they could, but Starfield is my most anticipated game of 2023. And let's get into what you've been playing a little bit before we get up out of here. Dale, you're kind of on a roll here. Dale, what have you been playing, man? What you?
Hey, Dale is high on life right now.
I like it though.
True story.
What you been playing, man?
Okay, I'll start with the one I finished first. So I finished The Last of Us Part 1 first. And that game is amazing. Like, nothing could take away how like masterpiece that game came out to be, like back in 2013, and they just made it better in this version. So like it has the, how do you say it? Like I like the second one, Part 2, but this one is just like way more straightforward. It's a more cohesive story. A lot more like raw emotions are in that one, and there's a raw emotions in Part 2 as well. But like it's kind of confusing with who you think is a protagonist versus an antagonist. Here, it's a lot more straightforward. I don't know. It's just a classic title you could just come back to and play for like 6-8 hours and be done and just like revisit it again like next year. That's what I feel like they've done with Last of Us Part 1. So I love that.
If they
game.
keep updating it, sure.
By the way, we're not revealing awards, so you guys say the name of the game right at the beginning.
So I'm definitely saying that. So okay, and then I didn't pay full price for Last of Us Part 1. I paid $34. Thank you, GameFly, for letting me buy that on a discounted price. Nice. So it was worth my $35.
You played all the way through it? You played all the way through it, Dale?
Yeah, I beat it. Nice. Like I thought I was only gonna put like 2 hours in. I was like, oh, I enjoy this part. I ended up just playing all the way through the whole damn game.
It's pretty frictionless in that way, man. I played through it as well. Like I GameFlyed it, and I was like, all right, 10 hours, 10, 11, 12 hours. Now I will say I've played it enough times already. I put in whatever it was, auto pickup things. I put in like I might have put it on easier too as well. And I would have put the just tell me where to go, man. I clicked the arrow and it was like, go this way, go that way. Like, yes, thank you.
Casual mode.
I casual moded it, but it was still great, dude. And I plattied it. So
you platted it? Okay, so I'm working on that right now.
What
I only played it in hard mode where you can't see the things.
Oh, dude.
You're playing through Part 1, Dalan, or no?
No, I'm talking about what I did play through Part 1. I didn't have the see-through wall thing.
It's super nice.
That's hard,
That's
dude.
That's a nice remaster. That's a true remaster, right? Like
I had to really listen.
What else did you play, Dale?
So real quickly, the second one I've been playing, I just started today, is a game called Signalis, and it's on Game Pass. Oh. And it's basically if you took Dead Space and Silent Hill and you put them together. So it has that whole mechanic of like trying to figure out weird, obscure puzzles, but it has the atmosphere of Dead Space because you're stuck in like this abandoned ship in like some far off planet somewhere.
Sounds like Dead Space to me.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like that, but there's not a lot of like fighting. Like there's a lot more creep kind of stuff, and it's off-putting. So I would think it. I mean, Dead Space 1 had that too, but I don't know. I'm digging it. It's very pixelized though. It's not 3D. It's more of the map system is kind of more like a Metroid kind of type situation where you explore. Yeah, I know. I got you.
You got Carlos the moment you said Metroid.
Yeah. So you unlock rooms and that have branching rooms. So you just go through that, and then you just try to collect key cards and like tools in order to unlock these.
It sounds like a puzzle escape game. That's what it's a puzzle escape game in space.
So what is it? First person 3D action?
It's a 3D. It's a 2D. 2.5D kind of ratio, and you're just on the map the whole time, like straight faced. So it has a good a good like
pause. Are you third person or first person?
Third person. Well, third person the majority of the time.
Down, or is the camera behind you?
It's top down. So it's top down, but there are certain puzzles that bring you into the first person's perspective.
Yeah, that's fine.
Which is like Silent Hill. So,
all you have to say is it's on Game Pass. It reminds me of Metroid. I might have to mess with it. What else?
I think
you've been
teasing
us long enough, Dale.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What else, man?
The big one that I've been playing recently is High on Life, and that game is I hate it at first because I don't like Justin Roiland's kind of comedy most of the time, but I don't know what it is about this game. It just crept up. Like if I were to score it upon first playthrough, like my first 2 hours, I would have probably given it like a 6 out of 10 scale on our review scale. 6 flat. But the more I played of it, and the closer I got towards the ending, it started creeping up to like 7.5, and I was like, oh my god, no way! I was so enamored with this game because I hate. I don't know. It's hard to pull off comedy games, and they have successfully pulled off a really good comedy game.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's all the references, the callbacks, like all this junk in the game. The guns that you have are personalities in them themselves. And the more you upgrade your guns, the better the gameplay gets. So that's why, like, my first 2 hours, I'm like, oh my god, this is incredibly boring. You're stuck with like the pistol type gameplay and the character for those 2 hours. But once you start upgrading your arsenal, you'll get other guns that have like time stop abilities or shotgun abilities or like all this other kind of stuff. And so the voice line is, I would say, one of the best written how do you say, scripts for the entirety of 2022, mainly because like the timing is perfect every time they nail one of the lines.
It sounds like you enjoyed your game design, and
it's really good. The biggest problem, and the reason why I would never give this game higher than a 7.5 is it's rough. Like, I'm playing whatever first update they patched or whatever they released, and it's still really, really rough. I've had game saves get corrupted off of my cloud save. I've had parts where I just get stuck in geometry all the time. Guns and a lot of audio shorts. Like sometimes they're in the middle of a sentence, they're like, wait, what? yeah, they'll be talking, but like the mouth isn't moving anymore, or like another, like you hear like something else off in the distance, and it's actually like the voice of the character you're supposed to be hearing. It's just really odd.
That's also on Game Pass, and it's comedy, so you got two things going.
It's comedy. See, exactly. But that's the thing about it. It's like it's funny to watch that, even though it's jank and it's not technically sound. Like it's part of like the comedy of the entire playing the entire game, which is hilarious to me. So it's definitely not the best like executed game out there, but you'll be entertained whether you like the comedy or not.
Definitely keeping it wacky. That's definitely one of those that I kind of want to try out, because we really don't get too many comedy games that are trying comedy, right? Like the only thing I can think of this year is maybe Tiny Tina's Wonderlands and New Tales from the Borderlands. So really, it's just like 2K or whatever, Gearbox related type of things. But those did it pretty well. So they did it okay, actually. I think Tiny Tina is just wacky, but you have to be like that style of game, right? Like the Borderlands stuff. So
exactly.
Game Pass, High on Life, that's on my queue. That's in the queue, man. That's in the queue to try out. Dalan, what have me and you been playing? I know the first thing we kind of both gathered around the table to play, so to speak, was the new Grand Theft Auto Online missions. And they were nice and wacky. It's part one. You get like 5 or 6 missions. They cut off right when it was getting good, right? And we're waiting on part 2 now, right? So, but what do you think of the new missions, Daniel?
The thing about the new missions that I actually enjoy in its own way is the characters that they decided to put into this, because I don't know, that guy Dax, I guess that's his name. He's very
ICP. What you're looking for is juggalos in Grand Theft Auto.
No. He's got a serious problems with buttholes, and they're over here trying to bring back the word badonkadonk.
Yeah. It's nice and wacky, dude. It is
wacky. That's what makes it fun. Is it's wacky.
That's where their like story type stuff has gone. Unfortunately, I lament that so much that instead of getting like an expansion pack in a single player, you have to jump online. You have to jump online to get the GTA like fun storylines, right? But you're hooked, right? Dalen's been hooked on GTA Online, by the way. I've been telling you guys
I'm surprised.
Hashtag sign off of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Like I said,
I tell you to put the camera on me, Dalan, and you're like, no, I'm just gonna really get into it.
I told you, man. I found the fun. I found the fun. So I'm down to play GTA. Maybe not all the time. As long as we're going in doing something, I'm down to play GTA. If we're not doing nothing, we're just standing around trying to figure out what we're gonna do, I'm not gonna play.
So the new missions are nice, right? The new cutscenes, all this stuff, right? It's fun enough. It's wacky, but dunk is they're trying to.
But donkadonk.
They really love that word in there.
Luchadors, like you shoot them in the butthole. Like, what is happening?
This sounds like High on Life, honestly.
Oh, by the way, There is a trip mission where you're tripping out. Like there is a tripping out mission in Grand Theft Auto Online. Whereas if anything else,
do a rabbit.
yeah, if anything else, yeah, you're hunting a rabbit, then you are the rabbit. Then it's like, okay, GTA Online, right? So if you guys, if for anything else, maybe look that up, or if you're interested, kind of dig into that. Dalan, we've also been playing God of War Ragnarok, which I tape solved. I beat the game. It took me 25 whole hours. We're gonna do Game of the Year talks next episode, and I'll have plenty to say then, Dalan. But anything so far?
Yeah, I understand. It's probably your Game of the Year.
It will spoil potentially.
Yeah, don't be shy about it. It's okay.
Potentially, it's up there. It is up there. But what have you been thinking about so far about this? What do you call it here, Dalan? Data Boy Loki edition.
I know you're saying that this game, you've said a couple of times that the game is long. For me, it's just a massive game. There was somebody that had the complaint that we were going through like old maps. So what? They completely transformed some of these maps, and then on top of that, the maps are significantly bigger than they used to be. So it's like it's this whole thing, and it just makes the game just as good because it's like you picked up where you left off, and the game is just as beautiful and it's just as fun, if not more fun than part one.
There you go. You'll have plenty to say next week as well, I believe, Dalan.
Well, I try to say things without being spoilery, but the best thing I gotta say for it is, God damn it! If you haven't played God of War, play God of War.
Play God of War 1, the 2018 edition for sure.
Play the series, period.
It still holds up, and it's just a continuation with Ragnarok, and it's beautiful. It looks beautiful, plays beautifully. Most frictionless game for me, indeed. No spoilers for next week. Most frictionless gaming for me, indeed. The other games I have on here for me, I did mention already Immortality. I did talk about that. Weird, frustrating. You click around a bunch. What does this prop do? Do I rewind? Do I fast forward?
It's a piece of art. It's a piece of art.
Yeah, sure. And like any art, it could be divisive, right? And it definitely was like, I gotta get out of here, but I still wanted to see the end. Not for the nudity.
Does this belong on the booby list?
Not for. Look, those scenes were interesting, and even those played a part into what the underlying story is. You know about the.
I'm sorry, her boobs play a part in the story.
No. There's Dale. You know there's like an understory, right? A subverse, I think is what they've gone to call it.
Subplot.
No. It's a subverse, Dalan. That's what they call it. Like the people that are fans of this game, this quote unquote.
Yeah,
Dalan,
it's super meta, dude.
Play it, Dalan. Play it and try not to use a guide. Try to kind of mess with it a little bit, and then maybe.
Oh, I'm not gonna use a guide unlike you, Carlos.
I'm gonna tell you, a guide does not help, dude. A guide does not fucking help at all. The way this game is constructed does not help at all, man. After like 2 days of like tinkering around and staying up because I'm like, this keeps giving me the same clip. I can't go anywhere. Please play it, Dalan, and come back and talk to us about Immortality. All right. The next thing though is that I did get down with a Plague Tale Requiem finally. Like I re-upped on my Game Pass, by the way, because High on Life is out there. Immortality I wanted to play, and the Plague Tale Requiem. It's Amicia and the kid is back. The kid is still a squeaker. Like in God of War, the original, this is something that Luis said, by the way. I think he went back to look at the 2018 edition of God of War versus Ragnarok. He's like, that guy was a squeaker in the first one. For Plague Tale Requiem, they decided to not bring this child's voice up, so he's still a squeaker. Part of the game for me, now that I've been playing it some more, the Requiem, is that the novelty factor is out. Like I kind of know what the original was, and so far I'm maybe like an hour and a half into Requiem. It's still like, oh, okay, I understand what this is. And then we got to the point like the macula returns. Of course, the disease returns, and so it's I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna continue with the game. I'm sure I'm gonna play it enough to beat it, and then we'll see it. But I hope it grows on me and that it gets better. Other than that, Bayonetta 3 still kicking, still having so much fun with that game, dude. It's nice. It's nice. I think I'm almost done with Bayonetta 3. And we'll talk about that some more later. Dalan, let's end it with you, man. What's the last thing on here that you've been playing?
I believe I mentioned it on one of the previous podcasts or very recently. Is that I was going to try and play Remnant Out of the Ashes because they're coming out with part 2 apparently, and I actually did start filing. I created a character. I did not know that you were going to have a choice between 3 different classes of the game in the game. So that was a nice little surprise after going through the opening sequence for the game. But now I'm at this point in the game where I'm like, this is hard, man. They're throwing all the monsters at me. I could use some help. I got to a boss. It's not really Demon Souls or what was it? Dark Souls is not really Dark Souls because they give you a shotgun, they give you a handgun, and they give you an axe or a sword, depending on what class you choose. And you're out there just chopping monsters up and shooting them from a distance, just trying your best not to die, going through the city. I believe Luis said that the story was flimsy, and yes, that is very true. But I'm not playing it for the story specifically. I'm playing it for the fun of it.
Also, you're not mentioning this. I don't know if you will eventually, but Luis also said that game crashed on him
on it multiple times
from shooting too much. The game said, you're shooting too many people right now. It's time to crash. It's time to crash.
Hey, man, I did not have that issue. I was firing bullets left and right. I had no issues with the game crashing on me. But I was wondering what I could really associate this game to, but then I hit a fog cloud of a door, and I was like, "Oh man, this is where the demon soul showed up." And I walked through that door. It was a boss, and it was a whole bunch of enemies. And that boss is like, I get murdered like 10, 15 seconds in. Unless I get some help, I'm not gonna beat this game.
Which is what we said for a while for Elden Ring. We were supposed to play that in co-op for a while, right, Dalan? And we never did. And I don't think.
Hey man, I need help.
Here either. Especially when I
gotta say,
crashing all over the place.
No, I think it's just for Luis's crashing. You know how he has his games crash on him all the time. He was playing GTA, and that game crashed on him as soon as he tried to boot that up. Whatever. He's got some games that crash on him. I don't know why games hate Luis. All right, but I say play Remnant Out of the Ashes. At least play it with me for a bit, and if you don't like it, we'll stop. But I could use some help right now, and I want to try and play through it if I can.
The help is not coming, dude.
The help is
not coming. I'm sorry. It's been a show.
Help is not coming. I don't like your can tab self. Get out of here.
It's been the Wacky Awards. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got a kick out of it. Next episode is gonna be the games of the year. We're gonna do our top 5. I know Deo said he might not have a top 5, but it's okay, Deo, if you have a top 2, top 3, just the games that you feel are deserving. But we'll be back with that on the next episode. Thank you guys for joining us in 2022, and this is 2023 right now that you're listening to it, so I hope you guys enjoy it. We're gonna be moving forward. Next episode will be games of the year. I'm Carlos, the master. What did you say, Dalan?
Can tabs,
Macias. Dalan Kirkwood up in the mountain. Thank you for joining us, sir. And we got Deo Blas as well with the Trulies. Okay, got the little Truly going. Hey,
ringing in the new year.
Hey, a lit Deo is a good Deo. All right,
a lit Deo is a good Deo. Deep voice Deo.
We'll see Lise. Hey, man, we're missing Lise out here. So hopefully he can join us. Hopefully he's feeling up to it. Next episode, and see you guys next time. And happy New Year. Hope you guys had a fun and safe New Year.
Happy anniversary.